morning. Today is Thursday. Chai Oder Beis Tavshin Daled. We are in Teres Menachem. Sefer Mamar Tavshin Daled Tavshin Yud Beis. In the Mamar Vid Aleph Nissen Tavshin Yud Beis. Adnai Sfosai Tiftach. We are up to page Reish Samach Eis Daled. Quick brief recap. Adnai Sfosai Tiftach of Yagati L'Secha Hashem, open my lips and my mouth will say your praises, is a pasuk that we say, a verse from Tehillim chapter 51, which is from the chapter of that the Rebbe started saying on Yud Aleph Nissen Tavshin Yud Beis when he turned 50, because we say the chapter of Tehillim of the year that we just entered. So when the Rebbe turned 50, he went into year 51. So he started saying this kapitel. We say it in Krish Shalamita. Mitzach Mizman David B'Voyel of Nasan Anavi. Right? In any event, this is a pasuk that we say before Shemoneh Esrei, before the Amidah. The question is why? And the answer is because of what it says. We ask Hashem to open our lips before we start saying the Amidah. The Rebbe said we know that there should be no interruption between Geula and Tefillah, between the last bracha of Shema, which is the bracha preceding the Amidah, and the Amidah. There should be no interruption between the two. So how does this verse, which is not an inherent part of the Amidah, how is it not an interruption? The answer is because it is it has been established to be said by the sages. For the Amidah, it's considered like one long prayer. It's considered as if it's joined to the Amidah. So the question that I've asked is, why did they institute, the sages, that this pasuk, this verse should be said before the whole davening? Why did they institute it should be said before the Amidah? The Rebbe went on to explain that Geula, in the spiritual sense, in the deeper sense, the blessing of redemption that we say preceding the Amidah, is the divine attribute of Yisod, corresponding also to Yosef. The Amidah corresponds to Malchus, which also corresponds to Yehuda. And the idea of Geula, and saying Geula, joining Geula to Tefillah, redemption to prayer, is the idea of Yichud, Zun, the unity of Yosef and Yehuda, right? For the purpose of drawing down new energy into the world. The Rebbe went on to explain, if that's the case, then certainly there should be, it would seem that it's better to have the verse of Adnai Sfosai Tiftach before the whole prayer rather than before the Amidah, and then to explain that's considered as part of it. The Rebbe started explaining the general difference between Tefillah and Torah, davening and Torah. Torah generally is from above to below. It's the Hashem's initiative. Represents Hashem's initiative of transferring energy into the world, whereas Tefillah represents man's initiative that awakens Hashem, man awakening Hashem to draw down divine energy, as it were. And nevertheless, the Rebbe said there are the other two, each one is also possessed in the others. So in other words, even though Torah in general is from above to below, that's the mode, Hashem's initiative to bestow below, nevertheless it possesses an element which also has the aspect of from below to above, man's initiative triggering a reaction from above. And so too Tefillah also has that same dual mode, even though generally it is milmata l'mayla, from below to above, it still has this element. There's an element in Tefillah, a level in Tefillah, which is from above to below, when man is in a state of total bittul. When man is in a state of total bittul, total nullification, prayer is then more the initiative of Hashem, meaning to say that although the man prays, but since he does not feel himself as any being at all, he's completely nullified, right? So his prayer is as if he's repeating what he's being told to say, so to speak. And then the bestowal of the divine response to his prayer is more on the initiative of Hashem rather than his initiative. That's what we're up to. Chapter 4, Ois Dalet. Page Reish Samach. This is the content of the request. This is the meaning of this request. Adnai Sfosai Tiftach, Hashem, open my lips, etc. Shehu inyan tefillah arichta. This is the idea of a long prayer. The Rebbe explained that in the Kabbalistic sense, when you say a long prayer, it denotes the prayer which is in the mode where man is totally nullified, and Hashem bestows what He bestows more on His own initiative rather than corresponding to man's effort. So when we say tefillah arichta, it's the higher level of prayer, where man is completely bottled, nullified. So Adnai Sfosai Tiftach, which is the idea of the long prayer, so kepashtus inyan, as the simple meaning of the idea, shemevakish Hashem Yisbarach, man asks of Hashem, shehu yiftach es sfosav, he should open his lips, ufi yagid tilasecha, and my mouth should say your prayers. Yagid is also from the expression of Amshacha. Yagid the lashon Haggadah v'Amshacha. Yagid is from the expression of Haggadah and Amshacha, drawing down. This is from the Pri Etz Chaim. The Pri Etz Chaim says that when we say that the idea of Haggadah, just like in the simple sense, when you say, you're communicating something, right? In the deeper sense, it's the idea of bestowing, as it were, taking something from one level and transferring it to another level.
Is arichta not used in a temporal sense? It's more in a physical or extended sense. It's not barichot in time. You don't spend a long time. You're extending the prayer.
Correct.
Far out.
Correct. So, what's the idea of this flow, this energy being drawn from one level to the other? Because we're talking about a person who's in a state of complete bittul, nullification. In other words, davening at a higher level. So what happens? Through the person being nullified, through his nullification, the man arrives at such a level, it's now no longer his prayer, of the person. The Rebbe defines tilasecha, tehila shalcha, your praise. What does that mean? My mouth should not only mouth your praises, but rather I am repeating your praises, meaning to say your praises are there, it's being articulated by you, as it were. You're the one that is bestowing the energy from above to below, and all I'm doing is I'm mouthing what you're saying. I'm mouthing, in other words, the main focus here is on Hashem, and I am just repeating what you're saying. And through prayer in this manner, then the drawing down from above, what does the person trigger? Where does the person reach, and what does he trigger? It's also in a manner that the flow cannot be hindered. Sometimes a person prays, it says that every time a person prays, his prayers are answered. Hashem answers prayers. Why doesn't it manifest itself down here below? Always. Sometimes there's some blockage. The answer is because it remains above. The prayer remains above. The answer to the prayer could remain in the spiritual sense. Right? In order to have it in the physical sense, that it should be transferred from the highest level all the way down to the lowest level, there need to be no blockages. That's why it says, for example, that there's a din of mishpat. Hashem judges people on Rosh Hashanah, what's going to be in the forthcoming year. But then there's also a judgment every single day. Whether that which was determined on Rosh Hashanah should actualize, it should manifest itself in the physical sense. Because there could be some hindrances, right? So similarly here, when a person prays, prayer could be answered spiritually. It's a blight over there in the Himmel, someplace. In order for it, it's also it could go the other way around. When a person prays, sometimes the prayer doesn't go up. You know the famous story of the Baal Shem Tov. He once came to a shul, he opened the door and he stood by the door. He said to the Baal Shem Tov, come in. He says, there's no room. He said, what do you mean there's no room? There's plenty of room. The shul's not full. It's not full with people, the Baal Shem Tov said, but it's full of prayers. Your whole shul is full of prayers. It's not going up. You're not davening properly. Right? So it could work both ways. But when a person davens, when a person is at the state of total bittul, then the hashpah, the flow cannot be hindered. The flow, the prayer is answered and it's drawn down below, just as it is above. The first level of prayer, which is in the mode of the lifting from below to above. There could be some hindrance and some blockage in the drawing down, which comes as a result of the prayer, right? This is not the case when one davens at this level. Tefillah arichta, the long prayer, when one is in a state of total bittul. Take of me out. Then the flow is drawn down and comes down here at the same time and in the same place immediately. Prayers are answered immediately. This is the idea of Tefillah Arichta. Chapter 5. Hey. With this we will understand Adnai Sfosai Tiftach. Why do we say this verse? What was the question? Why do we say this verse immediately before the Amidah? Why not before the whole davening? With the above explanation, we will understand this. Because we know the 12 middle blessings from after Ata Kodesh, from Ata Chenin, right? The following 12 blessings are all prayers for physical bestowal of physical needs. Shevorech Hashonim, that Hashem should bless the ears, v'irape achelim, and He should heal the sick, the ill. In order for this divine energy to come down in the physical sense, to manifest itself, as it's supposed to, as it is. In other words, it should actually actualize as we ask it in the prayer. The way to actualize this is if prayer is in the above mentioned mode, in the mode of Tefillah Arichta, which means a person needs to be in a state of complete bittul. We'll continue, Mr. Shem, tomorrow.